Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Good to see more people out and about being here on a Thursday night. Also good to be able to arrive in the light. Now that we have daylight savings, makes it a bit easier. So let's settle in with our meditation, us here and those connecting online. Having established our comfortable sitting position, setting up mind and body for meditation, one of the most skillful, important things for a human being to do, cultivating the clarity and quality of our consciousness, our mind-heart. Our eyes gently closed, helping to bring awareness within, breathing out any stress tension that may have been building over the happening of the day, the happening of the week. Breathing out, relaxing, releasing, letting go. Letting go of roles and responsibilities, issues and concerns, thoughts about what has been, thoughts about what might be, and settling into the present moment, free from the world. Meditation is moving the mind from the ways of the world, the issues of the world, the concerns of the world, moving within, enabling some inner stillness, silence, and spaciousness, allowing the fundamental true nature of the mind to become more apparent. Just noticing a few reference points for the present moment experience through sensations of contact of our body, feet connecting with the floor, the body connecting with the chair, cushion, or meditation stool. The hands resting gently in our lap. Feeling the subtle movement of shoulders, chest, abdomen as the body breathes. Maybe feeling some air connecting with our face. Light connecting with the eyes as we look into that lightness, brightness through the closed eyelids. Awareness of a few background sounds, but not being distracted or disturbed by them. And also allowing the quietening down of the inner mental sight and sound of thoughts. And bringing attention to the sensation of the breath. Wherever we feel that the most, maybe at the nose nostril area. Directing attention, sustaining attention in the present through noticing each breath. Making the breath enough to be attentive to. Content with noticing and feeling each ongoing consecutive breath. Bearing witness to life in the present through each breath. Allowing the mind to settle into its inner calm, clarity, peace, and presence. Please help yourself to some tea, biscuits, and we can have some reflections and discussion. When I was a Buddhist monk, and also now, I've always found great inspiration from short verses, a short verse of Dharma teachings, wisdom teachings, a verse that might be only a few lines, but in its simpleness and succinctness and directness expresses so much. Also, it makes it easier to remember, to memorize and remember, and then to be able to use that short verse or stanza for reflection, for contemplation, for the development of insight, wisdom, letting go. One such verse is a verse that I came across when I was a Buddhist monk in England around 1990. And it was printed up and put on the wall, might have been framed as well. And so I wrote it down into my monk notebook, where I collected verses and things that were inspirational. And so it's been with me ever since, in the book and also in my mind. The verse goes, "Life is truly a dream. All of its troubles, I alone create. When I stop creating, the trouble stops. With a single mind and an unbounded heart, we can wake up to the wonderful existence in true emptiness, which we are in the middle of right now. When all in the world ceases to exist, only the wonderful remains." And it was written by Bhikshu Heng Chao, who was a Buddhist monk, American Buddhist monk, and he was at City of 10,000 Buddhas. And I'll mention a little bit about him and his monk companion a little bit later. But the verse, I think, in many ways, it carries the whole of the Buddha's teachings. And even teachings that are beyond Buddhism, just reality teachings, we could say. So if we go through the verse line by line, maybe for your own reflection. So life is truly a dream. Not in that it's really easy, it's a dream, but it's, and there's various levels and layers to reflecting this particular reflection, but the way that I see it is that as the Buddha suggested, that we're all living in type of a dream, the dream of the world, samsara life, until we finally wake up from the dream, hence the expression enlightenment or awakenedness, the awakened one, the Buddha, the one who has woken up to the reality and truth of things. So life is truly a dream. All of its troubles, I alone create. Doesn't sound reasonable, does it? Who's responsible for all the troubles in the world? Well, the verse is saying oneself. And that sort of relates also to the fact that the Buddha said that the whole world exists in our own mind. How we see and perceive and experience the world comes back to our mind. And so if the mind is distracted, distorted, distressed, depressed, diminished, then that's the world that we perceive. That's the life that we're experiencing. So we create the troubles by a particular perception and therefore our then reception based upon even our conception, creating how we then perceive and receive experience. Because again, the world is our particular perspective or view of it. So the verse goes on, when I stop creating, the trouble stops. So when I stop creating, and this sense of creating the trouble, certainly, but the sense of bhava tanha, the wanting, the creation, the existence for being, which can also include not wanting, the wanting to not have. I want to not have this. I want to not have that. And so that whole idea of just clinging and condemning and reacting and resisting and denying and distracting that the mind creates our own stress, distress, and suffering. So when I stop creating, the trouble stops. With a single mind and an unbounded heart, so that relates to a mind of meditation, a single mind, focused, unbounded heart, open, receptive, compassionate, caring. We can wake up into the wonderful existence in true emptiness. So we can wake up to the reality of things, and emptiness, the Buddhist word suññatā, which relates to the fact that everything is ultimately empty of anything substantial, void of anything that's static, stable, enduring. The Buddha said that everything pertains to emptiness. It's anything that we perceive, it's basically empty of anything of any significant substance, because everything's changing in a state of flux and flow. And one of those special or significant, even sacred words of the Buddha, suññatā, emptiness, tathata, suchness, atamayata, non-dual awareness that pertains to the fundamental fabric of all existence, of all reality, but particularly the suññatā aspect, which also relates to anattā, no permanent, static, stable, enduring self. The whole sense of self is a mental creation, which is changing from moment to moment. So that that wonderful existence in true emptiness, which we are in the middle of right now. So it's actually Here right now, we are in the middle of that wonderful existence in true emptiness. But we fail to see it because we get caught up in the superficial, the surface level of things, getting caught up in time, the mind creating time, past and future, and then someone to be in time, who I was then, who I am now, who I'm going to be, or even just same me all the way through from back then to into the future. Again, part of the illusion. So a sense of also seeing that in the moment, right now, we have that possibility of awakening to truth, to freedom, a wonderful existence, which is that state of peace, state of ease, state of enlightenment. When all in the world ceases to exist, only the wonderful remains. So all in the world, and again, it's like, what does that mean? All in the world. When all in the world ceases to exist, it's like when the mind is not creating into the world, when the mind isn't being a worldly mind, a mundane, worldly, samsaric mind, when the mind is more of a nirvanic mind, non-clinging, non-condemning, non-attaching, open, receptive, flowing. And then what is left? It's just the wonderful. Only the wonderful remains. So life is truly a dream. All of its troubles I alone create. When I stop creating, the trouble stops. With a single mind and an unbounded heart, we can wake up into the wonderful existence in true emptiness, which we are in the middle of right now. When all in the world ceases to exist, only the wonderful remains. So there's a sense of like, it's perfect. So the take-home message is when we're living our life, what are we creating? Are we creating? Are we creating frustration, fear, anxiety, desire, hope, aspiration, motivation, me doing something, getting something, improving, being better? Still a sense of the mind creating a someone into the future, which again, it's creating the world to be into, creating samsara. And from a Buddhist perspective, if in that moment, any moment, then suddenly the body was to die, but if the mind was wanting, holding, clinging, craving, desiring, wishing for something, then that energy needs to go on. A message is being sent into the future, so to speak, and it needs to play out. And so it plays out into another existence, creates the world again to be born into. So as long as the mind is creating samsara to be into, even if the body isn't sustained, the mind will keep on going, okay, yes, because I wanted to have that, fulfill that, experience that, learn that, achieve that, realize that. Rebirth happens. So again, the practice comes back to, okay, so can there be the possibility of simply being there, aware in the present moment, but without creating with the energy of the I-ness, the minus, the me-ness, selfness behind? Because we realize that everything is ultimately empty of anything substantial. So the nirvana mind, or Pali nibbana mind, as opposed to the samsara mind, a mind that is letting go, relinquishing, releasing, freeing, spacious. And what would that be experienced as? Peace. or the wonderful. And at least the possibility of that in our meditation practice. So meditation becomes a special time for letting go of any sort of self-desire, just being vacant. So there's no one meditating. It's just the mind is aware in the present moment. In breath, out breath, in breath, out breath. No one's meditating. And then all that we wanted from meditation, a bit of peace, a few less thoughts, some inner ease, some contentment, some joy, maybe bliss even. It's already there. It's just that it gets covered up with the wanting. So settling back into that just fundamental piece of the present moment in the meditation at least. Even though initially there may be just setting up, okay, for the next while, I'm not going to be thinking about this, getting caught up in that. I'm going to put that aside. I'm not in my roles. A little bit of setting up, but then there's just calm, conscious, knowing awareness in the present. And then after the meditation, it's about being really careful because the mind will throw in some thoughts. Suddenly the self role comes back again, the persona, the Greek word for mask, to relate into the drama of life. So we can even be mindful about being somebody after the meditation. If the body could do with a bit of hydration, cup of tea, then nobody's stepping up and walking and getting a cup of tea. Even though there might be 16 people getting a cup of tea, no one's getting a cup of tea. But the body's just doing what it needs to do to have some hydration. Even you could go, well, after the meditation and even leaving, the body will know which shoes are going to fit it, and so getting the right shoes and keeping it really simple. Walking down to the car park, place to walk, and make sure you get in the right car. Go home with the right person. I'm nobody. Who are you? I'm nobody too. So it's sure we can play with it a bit, but that sense of being really mindful of the mind that easily gets caught into creating the sense of me again in the roles, back into the burden, sort of back into the shackles, back into the roles, sort of and because it's comfortable in terms of it's familiar, and the thoughts and so forth, but it creates that whole sense of back into samsara. So ideally to be able to just being aware, awareness being, and awareness being for as long as possible. And the mind becomes quiet. Maybe less sense of wanting to sort of say anything. So keeping the wonderful, keeping that sense of single mind and unbounded heart continuing as long as possible. And not just with our meditation here, but at home as well. Obviously, worldly life can be happening, especially if you've been meditating in the morning. It's okay, off to work now. So back into the role. But even on the journey to work, if one's working, to just keeping that just neutral knowing, spacious knowing, just knowing the sensory experience, simply seeing. In seeing, there is just seeing. In hearing, just hearing. In smelling, tasting, just smelling, tasting. In thinking, there is only the thinking, without it personalizing, concocting and creating a sense of identity, because the mind's identifying with all this stuff, my stuff. I am hearing, and I like that, and or seeing, and reminds me of, and creating past and future. So to really see how the mind is creating the world, and that's where even just small moments of just nothing being created can change our perception of the sense of self and identity and the world completely. Even just a few short moments of profound stillness, profound spacious awareness, clear-minded knowing, and the world can be changed forever. You can see, well, yeah, it is a dream. Yes, the mind gets caught back into the dream, but I know that I can wake up. There's a possibility of waking up because there were moments that I was awake. And I know what I thought was a reality was only a dream. And that's the profound insight that comes from the practice of meditation, developing that possibility of releasing the mind from behind the clouds of not knowing, of ignoring the truth, a sense of ignorance. So even any one of those lines in the verse could be an inspiration for clarity, for insight, for freedom. I'll print it up and stick it on the wall so that when you come in next time, you can, whenever that is, you can take a photograph of it. Might also send it out as an email as well. So any thoughts for yourself? If you want to reference back yourself, any thoughts about any of those lines in that verse? Loretta?
Thanks, John. I'm just wondering, the word emptiness, would that also kind of relate to sorry, I was thinking the word emptiness, was that also meaning the non-self versus the self, as in I'm not my feelings, I'm not my thoughts, I'm
For
not
sure.
my body?
Yeah. So even like the Pali words suññā and suññatā, anattā, empty of self, and anattā, no permanent self, no static self. So there's a psychological self, but again, it's just it's a mental creation. It's a helpful device for the mind to use for interpersonal relationship. It's an operating system.
But if you're sitting in the non-self, well, then that almost dissolves that thought. There's just doing that, is letting go of these delusions.
Yeah, so we're letting go of the delusional, the ignorance around what is the self, but the body, brain, mind still needs to use the reference point self as a skillful means for relating in relationships. But the mind knows that it's just a device. It's just an apparatus. It's an app.
The I's not being formed at that point. When you're just letting it move through, the I is no longer there. It's just the sense, like you're just sensing and then moving with that.
Yeah, because it's lost its sort of stuckness and its stableness, and there's isn't the investment into kind of reaffirming the sense of the I-ness. The mind has seen that it's like a cloud.
And the poem, John, is that Theravada tradition? Or?
No, it's so the monk that wrote it, he's a a disciple of Master Hua, Chan Master, who died, I think, in about 1993. I visited the monastery, City of 10,000 Buddhas, in 1990, and I think Master Hua died in about 1993. But and the verse very much expresses things that Master Hua would have said, things that Mahayana Buddhism expresses, and also the Buddha within Theravada context as well. And the reason that I also mention it is because this particular monk, Bhikshu Heng Chao, he and another monk, Bhikshu Heng Shaw, they did a pilgrimage walk across America, which is called 3 steps, 1 bow. So they're walking, and every 3 steps, then there was a bow. So, and they were walking to another monastery. It took them I think it was, did anyone remember how it was? 2 years, yeah. 2 years to complete. And they sort of pulled a cart that had their belongings and things that they needed, and camping out and so forth. And so a few of us went up from our meditation group, went up a couple of weeks ago to the Buddhist monastery up on the Gold Coast, Dharma Realm Buddhist monastery. And Bhikshu Heng Shaw is there. He's there half the year. He's sort of like a patron of the monastery, and which is actually a nun's monastery. And so we spoke with him. I hadn't seen him since 1990, so it's nice to sort of catch up with him again. He's an American Buddhist monk, and I invited him and to come and visit. So he's visiting here tomorrow afternoon, together with 2 other monks that have arrived from America. They arrived on yesterday, Wednesday. So they're going to come down for a bit of a road trip, just down the road, 40 minutes, and visit tomorrow afternoon. So you're all invited to be here for about 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, if you can make it. The other 2 monks, one is an American Chinese monk, and the other one is a Polish monk, and they have a monastery, a branch monastery, also in Northern California, in the Redwoods, and they've come out to Australia for a few weeks, and they'll be giving a meditation retreat from the 8th of November to the 14th at Dharma Realm up at Bonogan on the Gold Coast. Anyone been to visit the monastery there? So just a couple of us. It's an amazing place. It's I think it's on 30 acres, sort of forested, with a big meditation hall and a big hall for dining hall for visitors, and lovely gardens, and office, library, bookshop, and things like that. Very well set up. So in a way, it's like our closest monastery to here. There's a few other monasteries around, but that's the closest one. And they're very interested in having a connection with our meditation group, and so we can use the space up there if we want to. And they have a plan to build a bigger meditation hall that can sit 400 people. And they can also accommodate people for retreats, obviously, so that possibility of maybe us doing a retreat there. Over the years, I've taught a lot of retreats up in this area, mainly down in Byron Bay, and also out at Nobby's Creek. Haven't taught one for some time, quite a few years now, but be nice to find a suitable place to have whether it's a weekend retreat or a week-long retreat, 10-day retreat. So anyone might be able to drop by tomorrow afternoon.
How long are they going to be here?
I would say probably about an hour.
Try to get it.
Yeah, so we'll take them for just a little bit of a walk around, and then sit here, have a bit of a chat. We'll take a few photographs so that for those that can't come can see. So I'll again print out that verse and stick it on the wall, and also send it out as an email with the next newsletter, so you can reflect upon it. I've over the years come across many Buddhist verses, certainly lots and lots from the Buddha, which are particularly in the Dhammapada, which really sort of helps to sort of put teachings into, say, 4 lines or not much more than 4 lines, but also teachings from various Buddhist masters and senior monastics that really inspire and can be used as a great contemplation for reflection, insight, understanding. So that's certainly one that I found really helpful. Well, thanks for coming out tonight. Have a great week and see you next time.